Now, I've actually been showing you a lot of fall planted bulbs and their blooming results here this spring. However, there are a lot of bulbs that you can plant in the spring to get bloom later in the summer, and today we're going to go over a few of those. Now, bulbs is a kind of general term because it also includes rhizomes, tubers, and corms. And two of the plants that you usually think of when you're putting in your spring bulbs are the cannas and also the gladiolas. And here in another couple of weeks, just as soon as we get through our last freeze, it'll be time to put those in the ground. But there are a lot of other bulbs to choose from, and one of them that we're going to be trying here at the Studio Gardens is the crocosmia. This is a beautiful flower. It blooms later in the summer, and it has a long stem with red flowers on the end and long spathe-like or sword-like foliage. Now, it is hardy here, so once you plant it, you won't have to dig it up again. You want to find a sunny, well-drained location and then plant them about 3 to 4 inches deep and 4 to 6 inches apart. Now, you'll want to give them just a little bit of fertilizer. 5-10-5 is plenty strong right when the leaves come up, and then feed them again about 3 weeks later, and that's pretty much all the care that they take. If you live in the northwest corner of the state, you may want to mulch them in the winter so that they don't get damaged from the cold. Now, there are some other bulbs that you want to wait a little bit longer because they need nighttime temperatures of about 60 degrees. So you really won't want to put them in the ground until, say, the middle of May. And one of those is the tuber rose. Now, this is a wonderful plant for the garden. It's something that used to be widely planted and then fell out of favor, but you're starting to see it again, and it really is great for the garden. And one of the reasons is because of its wonderful fragrance. You can plant these in a group, maybe around a patio area, and you'll have a very lovely fragrance. The other thing that's great about these is that they bloom later in the summer, and it's at a time when it's hard to find other things blooming in the garden. You'll have this nice white flower. Now, you want to plant these again in a sunny location and with well-drained soil, and you want to put them in the ground about 2 to 3 inches deep. Now, when we say 2 to 3 inches deep, that's over the top of the bulb here. You'll want the soil like that. And on this one, it's a true bulb, and it's pretty easy to see which end is up on it because they've got some roots here, and then you can see the top. Now, you want to plant them about 6 to 8 inches apart. And again, you'll want to fertilize it as soon as the foliage comes up with 5-10-5 fertilizer, and then about once a month during the growing season. Now, you will want to dig these up and store them after the first frost. Another great bulb for the garden that also makes a wonderful cut flower is the calla lily. And this is actually a rhizome that you can see here. And you're going to want to put these in kind of a partially shaded location, or you can put it in full sun as long as the full sun is in the morning. And once it gets into the afternoon to late afternoon, you'll want it to be shaded and protected. Now, for calla lilies, you want to put these in the ground about 4 to 6 inches deep, and you want to plant them further apart, about 1 to 1.5 feet apart, because they will get rather large. Now, on this, if you look at it, at first it looks a little confusing, but then you can see the little growing tips here, and so you'll put this in the ground facing that way. Now, one of the other ones that you can put into your garden are the elephant ears, and these are a wonderful plant. They're great for kids, and they also lend your garden a tropical feel. Now, you can actually go purchase elephant ears in different sizes, and basically you're going to pay for a larger tuber here, but you'll get a larger plant. So it just depends on how large you want your elephant ear to grow. Now, this one runs about $6.50, and this was about $4, so just gauge how large of a plant you want. Now, these again, you won't want to put out in the garden until about the middle part of May, when the soil starts warming up and the nighttime temperatures are warm, because these will actually rot in the ground if you put them in when the soil is too cool. Now, you'll want to put these in a partially shaded to shady location and plant them about 3 to 4 inches deep. And elephant ears really like a lot of organic matter in the soil. So if you've amended that with composted manure or compost, your elephant ear will really perform well for you. The other thing you want to make sure is, again, to have good drainage. Now, if you want to get a head start on your elephant ears, you can actually do something right now to get them started, and that is just start them in a pot indoors. Just choose a pot a little bit larger than the bulb that you've got, and then place that in there. I've got a little bit of soil down in the bottom. I'm going to place my elephant ear here and then just fill in with soil around it. Then I'll just water this in and set it in a sunny location and let it grow until it gets warm enough to plant it outside. Probably about the middle part of May, you can go ahead and transplant this into your garden and you'll have a head start on a great crop of elephant ears.
We hope you've enjoyed this classic from the Oklahoma Gardening Vault. Remember, even though these tips and techniques are timeless, there's always something new to learn in the world of gardening. By subscribing to both Oklahoma Gardening and OK Gardening Classics, you'll have access to a wealth of gardening knowledge, both classic and contemporary.